Is it Friday again? This keeps happening to me. Look, I'm out of my coffee. I can't teach this math lesson right now. I have to go get a refill. Mrs. Whiting, can you put, I can't teach this right now.
Mrs. Quilty.
You're going to have to, guys.
I guess I will.
Yeah.
I'll teach you. You go get coffee.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
You wanted to make sure you have that.
Yes.
Mrs. Whiting!
Yes.
Thank you so much. See, I told you I had some good helpers here helping with math this week. Would you like some M&Ms? Well, we don't have the boys and girls to share with.
Thank you.
Have a good time in your math lesson.
Well, I didn't know I was going to get an M&M for filling in, but you know, when you have a willing spirit, sometimes you get rewarded for it. Well, thank you, Mrs. Quilty. Hey, bring me back some coffee. All right, bye-bye.
I gotcha.
Okay. Well, today's a review lesson for our test on Friday, not Friday, but our test on Monday. So let's just go look and see what we have. Be ready. Anytime you want to pause the video and try to work one on your own, go ahead and do that. That would be a challenge for you. We're not going to work all of them. We want you to try some on your own, and then tomorrow, or well, actually Monday's lesson, check it, and there'll be a test up for next week. So make sure you know how to do these. Practice them over and over again. Take it when you're ready for it. And then make sure you have a paper that you're writing them on. So if you need to stack them, because when we put them in, they go horizontally, and most of the work we like to work vertically. So it helps us. Okay, let's just jump in right here. Okay, the first thing to remind you about is anytime you're adding fractions, your denominators have to be the same, because you're adding the same size shapes together. When you cut, if you're cutting a pizza, speaking of pizza, this is interesting. You may want to hear about this. Yesterday, my husband came home and he said, there's 2 pizzas out here on our porch. And I said, what, 2 pizzas on our porch? Are you kidding me? I didn't order any pizza. And we looked on it and it wasn't ours, but it had no address. It had a first name with a last initial L, so we called Maud's Pizza, and they said, oh, I don't know who ordered it, because DoorDash is the one who was responsible for that. It was just paid for. So then my husband went around knocking on doors to see if anyone lost their pizza. We couldn't find anybody, so guess what we had for supper last night? We had pizza, you're right. So, you know, we tried, but we got 2 free pizzas yesterday. That was kind of cool. But let's say we had some pizzas, and one of the pizzas was like a personal pan pizza, and it was cut into 4ths, and another pizza was cut into 8ths, and I wanted to add, I can't add 1/4 plus 1/8 because the denominators are not the same. See, this size of 1/4 is different. It's like saying 1 apple plus 1 banana equals, you can't say equals 2. What are you going to say? If I ask fruit, yes, but you can't say but apple. You know, you can't do that. So just always make sure that your denominators are the same, because that means they're cut in the same shape. Is this the right page? Okay. Just make sure we're doing the same thing.
They're all the same, aren't they?
They are all the same, but I want you to make sure you always do that, because we want you to be in the habit of checking to make sure they're all the same, because eventually we may be adding, or eventually, if not this year, next year, the year after, you'll have to add them when they're different, and then you'll have to learn how to make them be the same. So like if I wanted to make these be the same, I would have to cut them so where they're all the same. But we're not doing that today, but I still want you to go ahead and be in the habit of always checking and making sure the denominators are the same. The denominator has that nom in it, which means it names the piece. Okay, so we can go ahead and write 9 here. Now, just a reminder, on our test, when we're looking at our fractions, they're going to write them something like this. So we would say 2 3/9. It's like that because they don't have it where you can write them like this on the computer. So that's a fraction. That would be An incomplete, that would be a mixed number, this fraction would be. All right, so let's just go ahead and work through that. We already have the 9. When you write it, I want you to write it like this. So 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. Let's go ahead and work this. Make sure you check your sign. 2 plus 7 is 9, plus 2 more is 11. 1 plus 7 is 8, and 8 plus 8 is a double, that's 16, 17, 18, 19. Carry the 1. Here, I'm going to go ahead and see this. See that? That's a 10. Guess what? 4 and 6 is also a 10, so that's 20. I already know that's 20. Okay, so wow, that answer would be 2,091 and 7/9. Okay, you already know how to do this. There's an adding. Just watch for your carrying, subtracting, watch for your borrowing, subtracting fractions, make with mixed numbers. Just make sure your denominators are the same, which I always want you to be in the habit of making sure they're the same. Right now, we're always going to give it to you the same for now. Okay, but just always be in the habit of doing that. Make sure you're following your sign. Like in this one where it has 7 minus 9, don't forget to say, I have 7 minus 9, because a lot of us see 7 and 9 and we just automatically think of the difference as 2. So make sure you don't do that. Make sure you actually borrow. Okay, the multiplication, this sheet is basically what's going to be on your test, everything that's here. Let's just do one of these. Let's do this one, multiplying with money. Okay, 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 9, remember the 9 trick? What is 1 less than 8? 7, so 7 plus 2 is 9. Now, because I'll review that in a second here. So 72 plus 4 is 76. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 7 is 23. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 2 is 26. Now let's go ahead and get that dollar sign in. Notice I have the decimal point here because I have cents. I have 2 places for the dimes and pennies, so you need to have that. All right, let's look at this story problem here. First thing we need to do is always find the facts. Noah and his brothers, Daniel and Matthew, own 147 books. Okay, that's the total they own altogether. 42 of these books, belong to Noah, and 38 of the books belong to Daniel. So it looks like to me, here's a question. How many books does Matthew own? This is another twofer. Our total books, I'm going to write over here. That's the total, 147 is our total books. Now, to find out how many Matthew owns, we're going to go ahead and add together what Daniel and Noah own. So 42 is how many Daniel has. No, not Daniel, but Noah. And 38 is how many books that Daniel has. So 2 plus 8 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 plus 3 is 8. So Daniel and Noah have 80 books. If all together they have 147, what is the process that we need to do to find the answer? Yes, we are subtracting because we need to find the difference. So we're going to subtract away what Daniel and Noah have to find out how many Matthew has. 7 minus 0 is 7. Now, since we have 14 here, there's no sense in going over here and marking that out, making that a 14. You can just leave that a 14 since there's nothing else subtracting. 14 minus 8 is 6. So the answer here would be 67, and you have to label it books. 67 books. Okay, let's look at this one. How much would 3 yards of lumber cost if each foot costs $3.75. Okay, I want you to pause it and try to work it, and then we're going to do it together. Okay, here we go. We're going to say 3 yards to how much would 3 yards of lumber cost if each foot cost $3.75? Well, let me set this up for you. First of all, we have to convert it. So yards to feet. Okay, we need to convert that. So we need to what are we going to do? We're going to rewrite it. Remember how we're going to rewrite it so we can change it? So we're going to change this to feet. Why are we changing this to feet? Because this is what the answer needs to be in. This is our first step, okay? So our feet, we're going to go ahead and say blank feet, whoops, not 3. Blank feet equals how many feet? Okay, so we're going to box this. Feet to yards, yards to feet. Greater to smaller, what are we going to do? Greater to smaller, multiply. So our first step is to multiply. What is our special number? How many feet does it take to equal 1 yard? Let's make that 3 better. Okay, if you said 3, you're right. Now we're going to multiply 3 times 3, and 3 times 3 equals 9. So we're going to be buying 9 feet. Now, here's the second question, because like I said, this is a twofer, and I ran out of space because I probably could have asked her to scroll it, but that's okay. I'll put it to the side. Don't scroll it now because I didn't do it then. So now if the lumber costs $3.75 per feet, we're going to multiply our answer times that. So let's just write it over here. $3.75 times how many feet? How many feet do we need? 9, because 9 yards is the same as 9 feet is the same as 3 yards. Okay, now multiply that. Then pause the screen and multiply that. All right, here we go. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 7 is 63. Plus 4, 67. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 6, so 27 plus 6 is 33. Now we have money, so we need to make our cents, 75 cents, pull down the dollar sign. And so when we write our answer, $33.75. Let me check that. That looks odd to me. It's right, but it looked odd to me. Anytime you aren't sure, that's why you have our answer key we put in on the next day, so you can check it. All right, this is Miss Nally, my helper over there. You may get an M&M because you're scrolling for me. Miss Nally, will you just let me see this 12 family really quickly? And then I'll scroll it. In the slides, you'll see the 12 family chart. Make sure you're using that to drill them and practice them. And make sure you're going on the games and race. If you want to race me, all you have to do is send me a message. And if I'm not working on helping someone at that time, I'll go in and race with you on our math race game. Okay, let's look right here. We're in space. Look at the picture. The great red spot on Jupiter is a storm about the size of the Earth. The storm's just always there. Can you imagine having a storm all the time? Oof, I don't like storms. I like a little bit of storm sometimes, as long as I'm inside and then I know that I'm safe. I like to watch the rain and everything, but ooh, I wouldn't want a storm all the time. It's just constantly going on. Storm, storm, storm. Okay, here's what I want to do. I want you to try to race me saying these answers. Okay? I want you to say it before I write it. Ready? No, I'm not going to write it. I'm going to say it. That way you can write it on your own. All right. Here we go. Ready? 99, 110, 132, 144. Don't say it until I touch it. I already know some of you are saying it. You're like getting ahead of me because you're so fast. All right, let's try. I'm not going to do it in order. Let's mix it around. 121. Is that right? Let's check it. 11 times 10 is 110. Add 11, 121. I was right. I was. I thought someone else said something different. Okay. Let's do this one. 88. Okay, the rest of them I want you to do on your own. Let me show you if you're working on a test or quiz and you don't have these memorized, anytime you're doing the ones that have a 2-digit times a 1-digit, you can stack it like this. 12 times 9, 9 times 2 is 18, carry the 1. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 1 is 10. So if you forget and you are taking a test, just use scrap paper and go ahead and figure it out, like 7 times 12, let's do 12 times 7. If you forget, don't dismiss it. If you're working on your regular work, try to write it in there and then check it. But if you're on a test, don't dismiss it. Go ahead and check it like this. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. See how you can do that one? This one I want you to memorize because we're not showing you how to do 2-digit factors on top and bottom yet. But anyway, you just memorize that. 144. I have found that most of the time, Miss Nally is going to go to my back page for me. I found that most of the time, someone might not remember what 7 times 8 is, but if you ask them what's 12 times 12, 144. Everybody remembers it. It's like the grand finale. When you get all the way through, what's the grand finale? Everybody say the last word, 144. Everybody knows it because that's the grand finale, 144. The thing that's really exciting about the 12 family is it's the grand finale of each of our charts, times 12. 0 times 12, 0. 1 times 12, 12. As long as you remember the grand finale on each chart, you got it, okay? And the grandest of the grand finale of those charts is 144. Okay. Let's look at what we have here. Here's what you need to be very careful that you're doing. Make sure that you're reading all of the instructions. Because when you don't read all of the instructions, and you know what, I've done this too. I take sometimes college classes or online classes, things that get me better. And sometimes I will think, oh, I know how to do this, and I won't read all the instructions. There's more than, you just need to make sure you read all the instructions so you're doing everything. So let's look at this. Divide. Well, that's easy instruction. Here's another one. Check B. Okay, that's easy. But look at this. Write the remainder as a fraction. So don't forget to do that. If I were you, I would star this and star this one. Because guess what? You don't have to check A. You just have to check B. Okay, let's go with it. If you would like to try it all by yourself, pause the video, work it, and then check it with me. Okay, so we're going to follow our steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, compare, and bring down. 9 divided by 4, will 4 go into 9? Yes, it will. How many times? If you said 7, you're not right. But if you said 2, you are absolutely right. 2, let's multiply. 2 times 4 equals 8. Subtract. 9 minus 8 equals 1. Compare. Is 1 less than 4? Sure it is. So let's bring down the 5. And we have 15. 15 divided by 4. Let's divide that. How many times will 4 go into 15? It almost goes 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. But 16 is too big. So if 4 won't work, we're going to back up and go 3 times. So multiply 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract. 5 minus 2 equals 3. Compare. Is 3 less than 4? Yes, it is. Hi, Mrs. McCagg. Come in, Mrs. McCagg. How many of you had Mrs. McCagg in 2nd grade? Mrs. McCagg came to crash our lesson. She actually wasn't. She was patiently and quietly waiting at the door. But when I saw her, I know that some of you had Mrs. McCagg in 2nd grade, and you love Mrs. McCagg. So I let her stop and say hi.
We're missing you. We're praying for you. You have excellent teachers working hard. Do your work. Love you guys.
Yeah, be responsible students, right?
Yes.
What a treat to see Mrs. McCagg. Now let's see if I can pick up. I sure can. I'm right here on compare. Is 3 less than 4? Yes, it is. So now we're going to go down to bring down the 1. How many times will 4 go into 31? If you said 8, that would be close. 8 times 4 is 32, but that's 1 too big. So if 8 is too many, then we're going to back down 1 and write 7. Now let's multiply. 7 times 4 equals, did you say 28? I know you did. Fry did, didn't you, Fry? All right, let's subtract. Please make sure you don't say 1 minus 8 is 7. Remember to say, I have 1. Can I take 8 away? I cannot, so you need to borrow. Let's go ahead and write that 1 right there, make it 11. 11 minus 8 equals 3. So let's compare. Is 3 less than 4? Of course it is. Thank you, Thorn. I knew you would be quick to answer. Let's go ahead and do our pull it down, bring down the 7. Now, earlier we said 8 was 32, and that might work. However, 32 plus 4 is actually 36, so 8's not big enough. So we would need to make it 9. 9 times 4 equals, what did you say? Jasmine, you know it, tell me it. Okay, you got it, 36. Now subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1, and 3 minus 3 is nothing. 0, 1 is the same as 1, so we don't need to do that. Now, don't forget to put your comma because it's 2,379. However, what does this say? Write the remainder as a fraction. So instead of saying remainder 1, we're going to write that as a fraction. So when we write it as a fraction, the 1's going on top, and then this right here, the same, it would be a denominator for what you divided it by is your denominator. Now, we don't have to check this one, but our instruction says to check B. So make sure you check B. I'm going to say, since you're checking B, that it probably does not have a remainder. That's just a thought. All right, I want you to pause the video and write your Roman numerals for these Arabic numbers. Arabic just means the words. Well, it's what we use. We use Arabic. Okay, and Miss Nally reviewed with you yesterday about what did she say about the? What do you say, Miss Nally? Come help me. You'll get it.
Oh, we get to do chores again. I love doing chores. I know you love doing chores. Ready? Our Roman numerals are: I vacuum extremely large carpets for Dad and Mom. We're good helpers at home.
Okay, let me see if I got that. I vacuum extremely large.
Oh,
wait a minute, I
missed the
left my L out. I sure did. I missed one. She was going faster than I can write. Extremely large carpets. And what was the next one?
For Dad
For Dad
and Mom.
and Mom. Now, I like how Mrs. Quilty says it too. She likes to vacuum during math class. Everybody pause the video, go ask your mom if you can vacuum during math class, right?
She'll love it.
Sometimes Mrs. Quilty asks me if she can borrow my vacuum and someone comes and you borrow my little vac because maybe someone spilled their pencils or something and you have to vacuum it up during math class. Or we can vacuum for Dad and Mom. So just don't make any spills. All right, so let's go ahead with it. If you haven't paused yet, pause it and try it. Okay, here we go. 100, so what's 100? C. We have how many hundreds? 1. 20, okay, 20 is a 10. How many 10s are in 20? 2. This is 10, so we need XX. 110, 120. Now, how do we write 6? we're going to say 5 plus 1, right? We're going to say the 5 is V plus 1 is 6. There we go. 100, 10, 20, 25, 26. Okay? Now, remember, we're not allowed to repeat any of the ones that end in 5. So these are the ones you cannot repeat. It's against the rules of the Romans. And before I was married, I was a Roman. All my family were Romans. But I got married, changed to a whiting, but still we must follow the Roman rule. Okay, here we go. 500. So right here we go right to D, that's 500. So we need 1 D. 500, look at our tens place. It says 5 tens. Remember, we can only put 3 in a row, so we can't say X, 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 X. So we're going to use the one for 50. So 50 is L, and then 5. 5 is V. This one only used 5, DLV, 555. Ooh, we have a million here. So, not a million. I know I'm a Roman, but I think again and again, to me, the 1,000 should be a T, right? Because 1,000 starts with T. But it's an M because M starts with millennium, which does actually also mean 1,000. So when I say M, sometimes I want to think million. So when you hear me say that, you're like, no, don't do that. All right, let's go. 1,000 is not a T, it is an M. How many hundreds do we have? 2, so we can use 2 hundreds, C, C. How many tens do we have? 3. As long as we have 3 or less, we can use the one for 10. So here we're going to count by tens, 10, 20, 30, and then 4. Okay, we can't use 4 ones, but remember, we're going to use this for 4, which means we're subtracting, we're walking backwards. So 5 minus 1 is 4. So if you put a lesser in front of it, that makes the 4, and there we are. Okay, round to the nearest dollar. All of these things will be on the upcoming test, okay? So here, remember, 49 or less goes down to the dollar instead of up to the next. 78 goes up to the next dollar. So what's after $2? Okay, that's $3. Make sure you put 00 cents. And $10.04 definitely goes down to $10. I hope you paused that and didn't just write it for me, okay, as I was writing it. All right, Miss Nally, will you scroll this up a smidgen so I can reach that bottom? And you may eat another one of those M&Ms, Miss Nally.
Thank you, Mrs. Whiting.
You're welcome, especially since I didn't even buy them. But anyway, I'm generous with my things that I belong to other people. Okay, when we reduce terms, it's Friday, so we're all having a happy time here. All right, we got caffeine and chocolate in us and sugar and all that good stuff. All right, so when we do reduce to lowest terms, make sure you're reducing, you're dividing by the greatest number that will go into the numerator and the denominator. Right off, I see they're both even. So I know that I could divide by 2. Can I divide by 3 evenly? No, because I'll have leftovers. So I'm just going to divide by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now let's look at this one. Notice that this is even, but this is not. But they do have a pattern, you know, like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So we know that these will be divided by 5 because when we divide by 5 or multiply by 5, when we multiply by 5, the product is always ending in a 5 or a 0. So we know that when we divide by 5, the same thing here, we can divide both of these by 5. So we can't do 2 or 3, but we can do 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Just like this one, we can divide both of these by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let you wait and check this on Monday's work. So you can finish that. Okay, let's go ahead and start and do 8 and 9. I really do want you to pause the video and then start it to check it. Pause it. You stop watching it. You need to pause it. Oh, I didn't know you already did it. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's do it. We're going to rewrite it but we're going to look at what our blank is so we know what our answer needs to be in. Our answer needs to be in ounces. So everything that's not ounces, we need to change. So this is 9 pounds. So we're going to put blank ounces plus, this is already ounces, so we're just going to rewrite it. 9 ounces equals blank ounces. So which one's different? This one. Okay, so we're going to go our 1, 2, 3. First of all, we're on pounds to ounces. So is a pound greater than an ounce or less than an ounce? A pound is greater, right? So pound to ounce is greater to smaller. What are we going to do? Multiply. Okay, the special number, 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Actually, you should be every day, and we'll try to help you remember this too. I didn't remind you earlier, but I'll try to put notes in. Make sure you're reviewing your all of your measurements on the back cover of your math book, because if you're not practicing, you're going to forget things like this. Okay, so we're going to multiply. What are we multiplying? 16. And I'm just going to go ahead and stack it because it's easier to do it vertically than it is to do it horizontally, especially when you're multiplying. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 1 is 5 plus 4. What is 9 plus 4? 5, I mean. I said plus 4, but I meant to say plus 5. I was writing the answer in my mind. So 9 times 1 is 9, plus 5 is 14. So 144. 144 plus 9. So I'm going to go over here and write 144, whoops, make that a 4, plus 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. 1 plus 4 is 5. 1 plus nothing is 1. 153 ounces, 153 ounces. And I'm going to check my entry key just in case I did not make any mistakes. See if I didn't make any mistakes on the wrong page. Yay, I'm right. I always like to be right. Don't you like to be right? I do too. Okay, here we have solve the equation. The first thing we're going to do always, always, always is work what's in the parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and recopy this. Every time you do something new, you recopy both sides. So 9 times 3 is 27. Now minus 5. So 6 n minus 6 equals, what is 27 minus 5? Well, 7 minus 5 is 2, and nothing minus 2 minus nothing is 2, so that's 22. Since this is subtract, what's the opposite of subtract? It is add. So to get this all by itself, we're going to add on both sides. We're going to add. This 6 is canceled out, and